Right now, there's a good chance you're paying somebody to make a problem disappear that comes back on purpose. Pest control. The ants, the roaches, the fleas. They get treated, they vanish for a while, and a few months later they're back and you're back on the phone. One-time call or quarterly plan, it doesn't matter which. The treatment was always going to wear off. That's not a service you're buying. That's a problem on a timer. There's a white powder that costs about $4 a bag. It's food safe. It's the same stuff used as an anti-caking agent in food you already eat and to clarify the wine and beer you drink. And when a bug walks through it, that bug doesn't get poisoned. It gets cut open at a scale too small to see, and it dies, and the powder is still sitting there, ready to do it again. For weeks, for months, for years, if it stays dry. One application, $4. It's registered with the government as an insecticide. Organic farms run on it. It's been on hardware store shelves for 60 years, and the people who'd come spray your house every quarter have no reason on earth to bring it up. Here's the thing about a pest problem that keeps coming back. The treatment only working for a while isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. A spray that wears off in 90 days is a spray that brings somebody back to your door in 90 days. A fix that lasts forever only gets paid for once. You're not really paying for pest control. You're paying for the pest to come back. But there's one mistake that turns this from a permanent fix into a useless white mess on the floor, and almost everyone makes it the first time they try it. I'll get to it. First, you need to see why the powder works at all. So what is this stuff? The powder is called diatomaceous earth. Say it once and then forget the name. Everyone just calls it the powder. And it's not a chemical at all. It's a rock. Millions of years ago, microscopic algae called diatoms lived in lakes and oceans, and they built themselves shells out of silica, basically glass. They died. The shells sank. Over an unimaginable amount of time, they piled up thousands of feet deep and pressed into a soft white stone. We mine that stone and grind it into powder. That's the whole product. Fossilized glass shells, ground, fine enough to pour. In your hand, it feels like flour. Soft, chalky, completely harmless. You could spill it on the counter and wipe it up and never think about it again. But shrink down to the size of an ant, and that same powder is a field of broken glass. Every single particle is a jagged, razor-edged shard. When an insect walks across it, those edges scrape through the waxy layer that coats its shell, the layer that holds its water in. And then the bug starts to dry out. Its nerves don't fail. Nothing poisons it. It dehydrates from the outside in, and it dies, and it travels. A bug that picks up the dust and doesn't drop right away carries it back on its legs and body, into the cracks, into the nest, onto the ones that never came out to be seen. You treat the doorway, and you reach the whole colony. Now here's the part that matters more than the price, more than anything else in this video. Because the powder kills by physical damage, by cutting, there is nothing for a bug to evolve around. Chemical pesticides work by jamming some specific process inside the insect's body. Give it enough generations, and the few survivors pass on the trick, and one day the spray just stops working. That's the whole reason the industry has to keep inventing new chemicals. You cannot do that to a razor blade. There's no genetic workaround for being sliced open. The powder kills the same way it killed the first bug that ever touched it, and it'll kill the same way 1,000 generations from now. The bug can't adapt. The physics doesn't negotiate. This isn't a folk remedy. There's an international body that does nothing but track insecticide resistance. Every chemical class, ranked by how the insects are beating it. The powder isn't on the list. It can't be. There's no resistance to track. Let me show you who actually leans on this, because it isn't preppers and it isn't people on the internet. It's organic farms. They can't put a chemical residue on food and keep the certification, so they reach for the powder instead. It's grain operations, dusting it straight into stored wheat to kill the weevils and beetles that would eat the harvest, mixed right into the grain without poisoning it, because the stuff is food safe. It's chicken coops, kennels, and barns where you can't be fogging chemicals around the animals, and some products are labeled to go right onto a dog or a cat to kill fleas. That's how gentle the food-grade version is. The industries that can't tolerate a failure and can't tolerate a residue never stopped using it. They just never had a reason to advertise. Then there's it standing on paper. The government first registered it as an insecticide back in 1960. The FDA lists it as generally recognized as safe, the same category as ordinary food ingredients. There are over 150 registered products with it on the shelf right now, and it does not expire. One study found a silica dust like this still killing insects after more than 400 days sitting in storage. That one stuck with me. Almost everything you buy to kill bugs is half dead in the bottle by the time you open it. This stuff doesn't evaporate, doesn't break down, doesn't lose strength. It just waits. Okay, let me put the money side by side. A bag of food-grade powder runs about $4 to $8. A 50-pound bag, enough to do an entire house, inside and out with plenty left over, and is $20 to $30. That's the whole cost once. On the other side, a recurring pest control plan runs somewhere between $300 and $900 a year. The quarterly visits, the repeat call-outs, the spray that wears off right about the time the next invoice lands. $4 one time versus a few $100s a year, every year, for as long as you own the house. One of them ends the problem. The other one manages it. So if it's this cheap, this safe, and this permanent, why is this the first you're hearing of it? Nobody buried it. There's no secret meeting, no cover-up. It's on Amazon. It's at the hardware store. It's on the government's own website. The real answer is just less exciting than a conspiracy. Start with the money. A $4 bag that solves the problem once doesn't bring anyone back to your door. The exterminator who tells you about it just talked himself out of every future visit. Nothing in that chain, not the company, not the technician, not the chemical supplier, earns $1 by handing you a box of rock dust and walking away. So nobody hands it to you. Then there's the product itself, and this is the part people skip over. It's slow. A chemical bomb drops the bugs in a day. The powder can take several days, sometimes a week, on the bigger, tougher insects. It's boring, a flat white dust that has never been on the cover of anything. And it's scattered across the store. The bag is in the garden aisle, the applicator is in another aisle, and there's a version of it sitting over by the pool supplies that is the wrong kind and can hurt you. Nobody walks you across 3 aisles and explains the difference. The pieces are all there. They just don't talk to each other. And that difference is the one thing in this video you cannot get wrong. There are 2 kinds. Food grade is the one you want, safe around kids, pets, and food. The other kind is pool grade, sometimes called filter grade. It's been heat treated and it's loaded with a form of silica that is genuinely bad for your lungs. It does not belong in your house. So the rule is simple. The bag has to say the words food grade. If it doesn't say food grade, put it back. One brand you'll see just about everywhere is Harris, and there are plenty of others. Just read the 2 words on the bag. A couple more things before you start, because food safe doesn't mean you breathe it by the handful. It's a fine dust, and any fine dust is rough on your lungs and your eyes in a cloud. So when you're applying it, especially in a closed-up room, or in any real quantity, wear a dust mask and keep it out of your eyes. Crack a window, keep the kids and the dog out of the room while the air is full of it, and let it settle before they come back in. Once it's down and settled into the cracks, it's inert and safe to live around. That's the whole reason it's used in food plants and grain bins in the first place. The mask is for the 10 minutes you're puffing it around. It's not for the months it sits there working. Same common sense you'd use with flour or sawdust. Nothing more dramatic than that. Now let me level with you about what it doesn't do, because the powder has real limits, and you should hear them from me and not from your kitchen floor 3 weeks from now. It hates water. Wet powder is dead powder. The particles clump together, the edges round off, and it stops cutting. Indoors, in the dry, this is its home turf. Behind the fridge, under the sink, along a baseboard, inside a wall, left alone in a dry spot, it keeps working for months or years. Outdoors is the weaker case, because every rain and heavy dew resets it, so a line around the foundation needs a fresh pass after it gets wet. That's the whole forever fine print. Keep it dry and it's forever. Get it wet and it's nothing. It also doesn't kill eggs. It kills the bug that walks through it, not the eggs waiting to hatch. So for anything that breeds fast, you treat, you wait, and you treat again through a couple of cycles. It does nothing to mice or rats. This is strictly for things with an exoskeleton. And bed bugs, I'll be straight with you, are the one case where I'd pull your expectations way down. The cheap consumer powder is slow and unreliable against them. It can be one piece of a bigger plan, but a $4 bag is not clearing a real bedbug infestation on its own. And anyone who tells you it will is selling you something. For the ants on your counter, the roaches under your stove, the fleas in the carpet, the silverfish in the bathroom, that's where this thing earns its name. And if you rent, this still works, and you leave no trace behind. It vacuums right up the day you move out. Here's what doing it looks like. Walk into your kitchen and crouch down by the fridge. That dark gap where the floor meets the wall, the one behind and under everything, that's the highway. That's where they run when the lights come on. You're not going to chase bugs around the open floor. You're going to dust the roads they already use. You need two things: the food grade bag and an applicator that puffs out a thin cloud, a hand duster, or a little squeeze bottle, $3 to $15. You can even poke a few holes in the lid of an old container in a pinch. The one mistake everybody makes is using too much. You do not want little white drifts of powder because a bug will just walk around an obvious pile. You want a film so thin it's almost invisible. A haze you can barely see. They have to cross it without knowing it's there. Then it's pest by pest. For ants, dust the trail and the entry point, the crack they're filing in and out of, and leave it because the ones that walk through carry it back down the hole to the nest. For roaches, hit behind and underneath the fridge, the stove, and the dishwasher, inside the cabinet hinges, and under the sink where the pipes come through the wall. For fleas, dust the carpet and the pet's bedding, work it in gently, give it a few days, then vacuum it up. For silverfish, the bathroom and the closet shelves. And for everything marching in from outside, lay a thin line along the foundation, around the door thresholds, anywhere a pipe enters, a moat they have to walk through to get in. Do that outside work on a dry morning with no rain in the forecast. Now, about the weight, because this is where people quit too early. It is not a chemical bomb, and it will not drop everything overnight. The small, soft ones can be gone in a day or two. The big armored roaches and beetles can take the better part of a week, because it takes longer to scratch through a thicker shell. That's normal. The trick is to leave it alone. Don't sweep it up. Don't wipe it down. A spot you dusted behind the fridge that you never see and never clean keeps killing for months. Indoors and dry, you basically set it and forget it. Outside, you redo the line after it rains. Keep the rest of the bag sealed and dry on a shelf, and it'll outlast the house. And then you wait, and here's the part that's a little strange the first time through. For a few days, nothing. Then the ant trail thins. Then it's just gone. And the powder is still sitting there, that thin haze behind the fridge, doing exactly what it did on day one, except now there's nothing left for it to kill. No truck in the driveway. No appointment window between noon and 4. No invoice this quarter or the next one. The problem you used to manage on a schedule just stopped, and the thing that stopped it cost less than the coffee in your hand. That's the difference nobody frames for you. Between renting a solution and owning one. Between a problem that gets managed and a problem that gets ended. Millions of years ago, a layer of microscopic shells drifted down to the bottom of a lake, and they have been waiting ever since to do this one thing. $4. One afternoon, and the bugs never figured out how to beat it because there is nothing to beat. There's just the glass, and the dry, and the quiet that comes after. If that's the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There's more coming.